Welcome to Critical DMG, a podcast about two best friends who might have grown up but never grew out of their love for the Game Boy. We will be playing and reviewing every North American title released on Nintendo's original handheld console. This is episode 45. I'm Tony, and I think I would like to solve the puzzle, Pat.
All right. And I'm Jeff, and today we are talking about Wheel of Fortune. If you've ever seen it during this time frame, Tony's little intro makes a whole lot of sense. Hopefully this gets cut out because you can't hear any of it. There is a bird outside my window who apparently has a lot of thoughts about Wheel of Fortune as well. So if you hear any chirping or anything like that behind my audio, I apologize.
Let the bird talk.
That's just what it is. But, Tony, would you recommend someone throw this in their Game Boy?
I have a really hard time debating the answer to that before getting on the episode tonight, but I think I would say yes, but I'm really gonna have to talk about it.
Okay, I'm a pretty flat no for this one, and yeah, we'll talk it out and figure out why we both feel that way as we go along. Before we do that, though, can you give us the back of the box?
I can. It's a very short one this time. Wheel of Fortune. Over 1,000 new puzzles. Now you can play America's favorite game anytime, anywhere. You're the contestant. Compete against a friend, match wits with the computer, or spin alone for fun. This game plays just like the real thing. Spin the wheel and win a fortune, or hit bankrupt and lose it all. If you're stuck, you can always buy a vowel. Spin and win with the #1 hit TV game show.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
So I guess not to bury the lead too much, it is based off the game show Wheel of Fortune, essentially trying to be a one-to-one recreation of that. Released in September of 1990 by GameTech, this game came along a bit after the game show did. It's still running, so I guess if you want to, you can flip it on and watch Wheel of Fortune now.
Mm-hmm.
There have been quite a few of these games made for Wheel of Fortune, which I had no idea.
Yeah, the show has been in lots of iterations over the years as well, and so there's so much disparity between game adaptation of what version of the show and who is involved and who is represented in the game. So for this game, we are talking about a game made in 1990, which is trying to replicate the Wheel of Fortune of the earlier era, so like the 1980s. So if you are someone who is familiar with Wheel of Fortune, especially someone who has been watching like in the modern series, the most recent series, which is hosted by Ryan Seacrest now instead of Pat Sajak, there's definitely going to be some stuff that is kind of wonky, like rules-wise, and that's because the show has evolved over time. So this game is trying to emulate specifically a much older version than probably any that most of the people that would be familiar with Wheel of Fortune today will have seen on TV.
Yeah, I definitely remember watching a little bit of Wheel of Fortune growing up.
Oh, I'm a big Wheel of Fortune fan when I was little.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. I watched a ton of this show when I was growing up.
Yeah, I didn't watch a whole lot, but if you've ever seen it, more likely than not, it is the Pat Sajak, Vanna White duo co-hosting it. And again, that's kind of prime this time when this game came out.
Yep. But I don't want to get too much into the rules stuff. We'll save that for the mechanics, which I think I'm ready to get into. I don't really have anything else on this one, unfortunately.
All right. You beat me to it today. So yeah, let's dive into the mechanics.
Let's do it.
So this genre, a game show, puzzle game, word game, something along those lines. And yeah, you're playing Wheel of Fortune. Your goal is to guess the puzzle. Controls are pretty simple. D-pad moves you around. A selects your letter or the option, and then start will pause. A quick explanation of what Wheel of Fortune is, just in case anyone listening doesn't know. Very similar to Hangman. Essentially, you are guessing a letter and trying to figure out a phrase or word or name or whatever. Kind of the whole shtick with Wheel of Fortune is there's a big wheel that the 3 contestants will spin. It'll land on a dollar amount or other things not really super relevant.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you get when you get a letter correct. The only other thing is you have to buy vowels for whatever reason.
I found out that the vowel price has been the same since like the show started.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's been like $250 every time, and it's like never gone up throughout the entire show's run. I think that's wildly interesting. Anyway.
But the other prices have adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
So vowels are actually underpriced based on, I guess historical values, which is kind of funny.
The economics of Wheel of Fortune.
I kind of went down a rabbit hole of game theory for Wheel of Fortune.
I'm not even surprised.
But we won't get into that.
Yeah, that's for a different show.
With that, Tony, how was your video game Wheel of Fortune experience?
I actually, at first, thought that there was no computer option, that this was just a either play by yourself against the house, I guess, or play with like a second player.
Mm-hmm.
So I just kind of like missed that when I was playing originally. But it doesn't really damper things here because, again, the game is basically just like a hangman. So I played solo, just me spinning the wheel over and over again each turn, trying to solve these puzzles. I did make it to the final round, and I won my $25,000 prize.
Oh, nice.
I think it took me like 15 minutes, start to finish, something like that.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, it was pretty much what I expected.
Yeah, so I think very similar. I will say, usually we don't talk about the title screen too much in this section, but I think it's notable because it doesn't have the kind of standard title screen and then you hit start or whatever and move into like the game. It just kind of auto scrolls into it, which I found, a bit just kind of confusing at first. And then also I just wanted to skip and go like push start and go into the game.
Yeah.
So I kind of did the same thing where I started playing by myself because I didn't really spend too much time on the what you would call the title screen or the select screen. And then I did play with a computer, and so I kind of got both experiences. Yeah, I think I played for just over 30 minutes, so your 15-minute time estimate checks out. I have all my words written down. I might put them in the description if people are interested. I did not get the first bonus. The second bonus I did figure out before time ran out, but I didn't get to input it. So a little womp womp. Yeah. But that's okay.
So we're talking about the way the title screen just kind of like becomes the game. You aren't really changing from scene to scene. You just make the game start from basically jump.
Yeah.
And what that makes me think of, Jeff, I'm sure you've seen some of these growing up. Probably some of our listeners of a similar age have as well. But top to bottom, this game feels like one of those LCD like handhelds that only plays this game and nothing else.
Like the cheap versions of a Game & Watch.
Right. Like it just is for this. Like the title screen is the game, is the whole package. And you start and you select your things, and then the game is already right there. Nothing really changes. You just like, there you go. You're off to the races, and you're spinning, and you're like just moving through the letters and inputting them one at a time. And it felt fine. Like, it's very underwhelming, even though it's mechanically sound for the most part. But because it lacks any kind of like character, or there's no like flourishes here to make the game something specific to the Game Boy or like a special mobile version. It's trying really hard to just be Wheel of Fortune. And so it makes it so simple that it just feels like one of those things that like my grandparents had some of them when I was a kid, and they played things like poker and blackjack.
Yep.
But it was like, that was it. That was all they played. And that's what this feels like. You would just like pull up the thing and it's in this cute little plastic Wheel of Fortune case and it just plays Wheel of Fortune. It's their Wheel of Fortune machine. That's what this feels like.
Yeah.
And I don't know that it's necessarily bad, but it's just weird for the Game Boy.
Yeah. So at the end of our last episode, I know we kind of mentioned dreading typing in all of the different letters.
Yeah.
I will say it felt okay. It felt fine. I didn't find it too bad. Your letters are just on, 2 different rows. That handles well enough for me. What I found really kind of frustrating and what really diminishes the fun I was having is kind of tied into what you were saying is there's no real like going from scene to scene. It kind of all just feels like bleh, like all just jumbled together and just like an amalgamation of mechanics going on. The title screen starts like pretty slow. You can't skip it. Then you get into the game, you select all your stuff, whatever fun. You go to spin, and it just takes a significant amount of time.
Oh my gosh, it does. Everything is so slow.
Exactly. You have a power meter to spin for some reason. I don't know why.
I figured that that's what it was trying to be, was a power meter. It didn't make any difference, in my opinion.
Yeah. So I always set it kind of towards the lower end because I was like, hopefully that'll make it spin faster. I don't think it really did. And so you're waiting on this. You can't hit A or start or anything to make it speed up. And then it goes back to the puzzle screen and you have kind of a small amount of time to actually make your selection.
Oh yeah, it's only like 7 seconds or something like that.
It was just kind of like this tug of like some of the slowest gameplay I think we've experienced on the show. And then, make your decision right now.
Yes.
And it was like this tug back and forth where either I wasn't paying attention and I was like mashing A for whatever reason, hoping that it would do something. And then I would select A and it would be like, oh, that's an invalid selection. You lose your turn. I was like, okay, well, that feels bad. Or I would stop paying attention and then I would be like, oh, I have a second left on the timer to make my selection. So I get both of those are definitely user error. But yeah, some of the slowest gameplay imaginable into like a relatively quick decision that you have to make. And I just didn't have fun with that.
No, I completely agree because even like, I don't know if she's ever actually like named in the game, but like it's supposed to be Vanna White, like flipping the tiles or whatever.
I would assume so. Yeah.
Boy, she takes her sweet time. Like even just flipping a single tile that's like already standing basically right next to where she's at, it takes so long and there is no skipping or fast forwarding or anything. And then it's like you're saying, as soon as it goes from that, you're like watching this agonizingly slow wheel spin or NPC character change the letter, and then once that's over, it's like, all right, let's go, 5 seconds, come on, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I think what really makes it so difficult is maybe just the fact that since we've been doing the show, like in the chronology of things, a lot of the other puzzle games that we've been playing don't really have timers. They kind of just let you sit there and stare at the screen for as long as you need to, and then make your move when you're finally ready. This one was not that.
Yeah.
You got a handful of seconds, and that was it. No deliberating. You just threw out your letter, and if it was wrong, too bad.
Yeah, I find it a bit bizarre because, we just played Pipe Dream, which kind of one of the core mechanics of that is the timer that you're kind of battling against.
Right.
Cool. Makes sense. Other ones, Daedalian Opus and those ones where, you just have an infinite amount of time to figure out the puzzle. This felt like it was trying to make the timer a key or like a core mechanic, but I don't understand necessarily why, because a lot of word games now, you kind of get as much time as you want. And so I'm not super familiar with the actual game show. I'm not sure if they do have, a 7-second timer that they're kind of held to, but it just, again, it felt like it was clashing with itself in that way. And it was rough.
If memory serves, I do believe that there is a timer, like they are only given a handful of seconds to make their decision, which when there are multiple people playing, there's 3 people all playing Wheel of Fortune at the same time or whatever, I can understand the need for something like that so that someone isn't just taking the entire show to make their decisions.
Yeah.
But especially when you're just playing by yourself and there isn't even a computer opponent to play against you, I don't know what it is other than to keep you spinning the wheel, which, whatever. I guess, again, they are trying hard to just make the show as much of the show as the game can be without, like, changing things. And there's something to be said about that, not iterating or not trying to reinvent the game.
Yeah.
It's just trying to be the game.
Getting the true experience.
Right, exactly. And it's funny because usually when we have I am feeling a little more positive, you are feeling more negative, sort of like start to the show, one of the things that I've noticed is it's usually because the games are in a genre that either one of us is and then is not a fan of. So like fighting games or like 2D beat 'em ups or whatever.
Yeah.
So you usually are not a big fan of those, and I am because I like those games, so I might be a little more forgiving or just like enjoy them more. I know for a fact that we both like word games. I have watched you play word games like on live streams, and we've played word games and stuff like together before, just puzzled those sorts of things out. So I know we like word games and like language type stuff, but it's funny that this one really didn't seem to do it for you. And for me, mechanically, it's fine. I do agree that it's weirdly irregular, like slow and then fast and slow and then fast. And that is annoying. I completely agree with that. But maybe it's just because it is so like exactly what Wheel of Fortune at the time, was turned into a video game. I really just feel that it was like, yeah, it's not doing anything wrong mechanically. It's not broken. It's not super frustrating. Like, I don't have a bunch of missed inputs when I'm putting in letters. It's not like I'm trying to guess what the puzzle is and the answer's wrong because the AI of the game can't process, my answer or whatever, which I'm sure is like Jeopardy games have that problem a lot. There's only one exact answer and they're not approximating the answer like Jeopardy kind of does.
Yeah, it's a very cut and dry binary answer. It's either right or wrong. So
yeah, exactly.
I would agree with that.
You are guessing the word that is there in front of you, and there's only one answer. So I didn't bounce off of it in a way that I think I sort of dreaded, like we had talked about last episode. So is it really just that weird like back and forth speed thing for you, or do you think that there's something like mechanically wrong or like busted here?
So we are getting a little ahead of ourselves with the wrap up talk, but I think it's important because to me, I think it is almost 100% in the mechanical section. To me, it was exactly that, right? It was exactly that whiplash pace change that the game was going through. Sections felt like they took much longer than they needed for no reason. Like spinning the wheel didn't really add a whole lot to the experience, in my opinion. And it was probably 50+%, if not more, of my gameplay experience. Just watching this like kind of poorly animated wheel spin.
Yeah.
If it were just like a straight Hangman game, even, with the sprite going back and forth, which, again, as you mentioned, took much longer than probably needed. If it were just that, okay, fine. But it felt like in one player, all of these things made no difference because even if you lost a turn or you went bankrupt, which I never saw happen, but
I did. I went bankrupt.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Even if any of those things happened, it didn't matter because you were just playing by yourself.
Yeah, it didn't matter.
Playing against the computer was horrible. I think they guessed like Q, Z, X, V.
Oh, wow.
Like some of the worst letters.
Yeah, all the worst letters to guess, yeah.
I did read in, I think, some of the other games, I guess you can control the computer's intelligence to essentially what this seemed to be up until like, oh, it's the computer that knows the answer.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell a way to change this computer's guessing strategy, so
oh yeah,
it also felt irrelevant to the game, because it was just clearing out some random letters that didn't really matter. So yeah, it felt like a worse version of a lot of the word games I like to play, with a lot of like slow mechanics added in to try to give it the skin of Wheel of Fortune, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I think we definitely will call it here on the mechanics, take our break, and then come back for the aesthetics, because this is definitely getting to a point where I could see us just wrapping the conversation if we don't move on.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Ad break.
I'm sorry, Tony, but some of these older Game Boy games are just bad.
Oh, right. Like you could do any better?
You know what? I probably could.
Yeah? Then do it. Make your own Game Boy game.
Tony, this isn't the 90s. I am not learning assembly.
Not necessary. Just use GB Studio. GB Studio is easy to use game building software that lets you make games for your favorite retro gaming rectangle. With versions available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, it's never been easier to make a game for the Game Boy. And GB Studio's multiple project modes means you can develop for the original DMG, the Super Game Boy, or the Game Boy Color. Using a drag and drop style of visual scripting means you don't even need any prior programming knowledge to get started. And the best part is, your work can be built and exported as a fully playable Game Boy ROM, ready for any emulator or flash cart you choose. Learn more or download GB Studio for yourself at www.gbstudio.dev. Can't seem to clear any lines in your Tetris? Stuck underwater in Super Mario Land? The old Pokemon grind got you feeling blue? Then stay tuned to Critical DMG. It won't make you better at Game Boy games, but at least you won't feel so alone in how bad you are at them once you've listened to us. Users must provide their own Game Boy. Batteries not included. Certain conditions apply. Void where prohibited. Critical DMG is not responsible for any worsening gameplay after consuming our podcast. And we're back. And I have got to say, Pipe Dream, I might have muted, but even its music was not this bad.
My first note is, oh gosh, what is with this music?
It is actively some of the worst, most like auditory, offensive music that we have had so far on the Game Boy. Like, it is actively painful to listen to.
It didn't help that I had my volume turned a little bit too high
when
I kicked it on.
Oof.
But yeah, you turn the game on and it is blaring right at you with, just not good.
Baffling. And I went back and listened to, like, the show theme, the Wheel of Fortune theme, to hear and be like, oh, okay, what is the song? So if they were trying to put a version of this in the game, what does it sound like? And it's not even that. It's not even, like just a really bad rendition of that song. It's just like noise, honestly.
And then it just ends.
Yeah.
And then it just ends.
There's no music in the actual game pretty much at all.
Yeah. Super bizarre. I was happy when it ended, I guess, because I didn't have to listen to it anymore. But,
exactly.
And then it just kicks on randomly other times. And the music, not great, which is a little upsetting because I don't remember the Wheel of Fortune soundtrack or theme song, but I'm sure it was kind of fun and upbeat like most of them are. And
very pleasant, nice jazzy kind of, game show music. It's nice. It was good.
But keep the sound off on this one. There are some sound effects as you go through if you get a letter right or wrong.
They're not good either.
Yeah, I was like, they're fine. They're not as offensive to me, but not worth turning on the music and assaulting your eardrums.
Again, just it really makes me think of those little handheld single game playing devices.
Yeah.
It's just blips and beeps, the tightest, shortest rendition of whatever they could call music made with the same blips and beeps that they get for the rest of the product. And just a basic nothing package. No music through the actual thing because they need those blips and beeps for the sound effects of the gameplay or whatever. And that was it. There's so little to say about really anything as far as music and sound goes, because apart from the horrendously bad title track, there really is almost nothing here at all.
Yeah.
So all we really can talk about is the sprites and the presentation, and we can have a little laugh at how there's like a big egghead situation going on with the would-be Vanna White co-host, Tile Turner or whatever. Very strange. Don't know what they were really going for there, but not great. Not a good look for her.
Yeah, I found the sprite to be fine. Recognizable as woman letter turner.
Sure.
That is often co-hosting Wheel of Fortune.
Right.
I would say they do a decent job of giving the vibe of Wheel of Fortune. You know, if you watched back then and all of that, you kind of have the arches and the game board that is the wall that is central to Wheel of Fortune.
The overlay.
Yeah. The wheel I found a little bit lackluster, but you could tell it was a wheel, and, you know, with very little persuading, could see it being the Wheel of Fortune wheel. So I guess decent enough branding or brand recognition there. But it did feel a bit lackluster. Spinning the wheel felt very bad to me.
Oh, yeah.
It just felt like it could have been better. And for something that is like so integral to Wheel of Fortune, it felt like they could have done something better with the animation or given it more than the top quarter of the screen to spin.
I would have, and this is just me, game dev Tony piping in here. If I were to do something like that, I would probably make a cute animated wheel to spin and then either have like a faked magnified, I'm making air quotes here, magnified portion that showed like what the section you were on was, or I would just have the wheel spin and then once it was done, show the results in like a cute little animation or something like that. Because here, and again, with the like little LCD handhelds, it really just feels like they didn't even need to do that. They could have just had it be like a little area of the screen, of the main screen, with the number values that just like spun like a slot machine.
Yeah.
Whenever you were spinning the wheel, and just like settled on the number that you were going to win for each letter, and that was it. Like, they do so little with it to make you go to a whole separate screen that takes forever to get through that it almost just feels like, why bother?
Exactly. And, you know, if they did have the, you know, slot wheel, obviously that's not good brand recognition, but they kind of already have that anyway, that they dedicate a good amount of the screen to.
Yes.
Half of the screen of the wheel spinning is the power bar, which we've mentioned. Questionable as to why that even exists.
Yep.
And then just a box that represents what value the wheel is currently on. So kind of redundant information. The wheel is kind of a mess to read, so I understand why they did that.
Yeah, readability is very low.
But I agree with you. I think doing something more with that, even if it was just a generic spin animation and then cut to, you know, like a cute little ending animation, I think that would be infinitely better than what we get.
It really just feels like the minimum viable product as far as looks, sound, presentation. There's nothing that makes it feel like, yeah, this is Wheel of Fortune on the Game Boy. Like, no, it looks like any other Wheel of Fortune that you could be playing on anything else that you could hold in your hands. Like, it is so much lesser than the versions that I've seen on even something like the NES that it just feels like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
The mechanics, I can be like, yeah, they're fine. There's nothing broken about it, whatever. But here in the aesthetics, it just feels so blah. Like, apart from the fact that they have the overlay of, you know, what you could call like the set of the Wheel of Fortune show or whatever, and they have Miss White, whatever, the mystery co-host lady, just like doing the tiles or whatever. That's basically it. The wheel doesn't feel great or look great. And then those full screen pile of money, really poorly shaded and transposed like cutscene images, they are awful.
Yeah.
Just so bad. It's like someone took that picture and just like totally blew the like white balance or something out, and it's just nothing but totally overblown highlights and stuff. It's bonkers. When I first saw that, I was like, is my contrast on my Game Boy Pocket up too high? What's going on here?
Yeah, and it's also kind of bizarre because it's only shown right before you go into the bonus round and all of that. So it is a little interesting that is what they decided to do with that. And I can appreciate the co-host's sprite, you know, walking across, touching the wall, flipping the letter, etc.
It's something.
While it does take probably longer than it should, and I wish I could skip it, that was at least something. But I agree, everything else feels just very copy and pasted, or just like, I want to say lazily done.
Yes.
And maybe that's not fair. Like, I don't do game dev. But it looks like Wheel of Fortune enough that you can tell that that's what it is.
But that's as far as it goes.
Yeah, it just didn't feel good.
You are looking at something that is wearing the mask of Wheel of Fortune. It's got the Wheel of Fortune set layout. Oh, it's got a wheel that spins. There's a co-host that changes the tiles. You have all of the mechanics there of Wheel of Fortune. Oh, there's a $25,000 prize round and everything else. Like, it's all there to make it look like Wheel of Fortune right on the surface. But beyond that, there's nothing. There's nothing about the presentation here that would make this be anything other than just like Hangman for money.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that kind of brings me to what I want to say about the wrap up, unless you have anything else for the creative.
I think the only other thing that I have to say is that readability on the letters is not super great, just because the way that you select the letters is like a flashing box over the letter that you're picking from.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of annoying. I don't necessarily have a better way that they could have done that, other than maybe just a hollowed out box instead.
It definitely obscures the letter that you have either placed or want to place, for sure.
Right. It's like a minor gripe, but I would be remiss to not bring that last thing up. But otherwise, I am totally ready to move on to the wrap up.
I feel like all of this kind of culminates into a few big thoughts for me. One, as we said in the mechanics, so I'm not going to rehash that too much.
Okay.
The push and pull of the very slow gameplay into, you know, make a decision in the next couple of seconds, that didn't feel good to me. But I could see, like, okay, maybe you're just really into Wheel of Fortune and, you know, you want to play this game. I feel like the whole reason to be on Wheel of Fortune, I guess aside from the fact that you can win money, which your Game Boy is not going to be printing out money, so don't. That is not a factor here.
No Game Boy printer compatibility on that.
So the whole point of Wheel of Fortune, I feel, is to spin that big wheel. It is so iconic and everyone's clapping and cheering when you spin the wheel. And it's like such an integral part of, I feel like, what makes Wheel of Fortune Wheel of Fortune.
Uh-huh.
Again, it's the first word in the name. And they just do such a bad job of it. Like, that was literally my least favorite part of the game, was spinning the wheel.
Mine too.
Because it doesn't look good. It doesn't feel momentous. It's not...
It takes forever.
Yeah, you can't skip it. It takes forever. And I don't know, it just felt like it missed on that portion that I feel is, like the most exciting part of Wheel of Fortune.
So ultimately not worth the batteries for you. Even at the end of all the things, you are still dead set on a no. Flat no.
I would say play Wordle, play the crossword, play almost any other word puzzle other than this, unless you are just so deep into the Wheel of Fortune sauce, then maybe. But aside from that, there are infinitely better word puzzles that you can play.
So I think after all of the conversation and really deliberating on it, I think I'm going to have to say no. Ultimately, there are so many other versions of this game. Not even just that there are other word games, like you said. Yeah, there are those, but if you really want to play Wheel of Fortune, I just can't imagine coming to this one specifically.
I would agree with that.
There are more modern versions, or if you really want to play a version from this time period, there are multiple others of those too. There's one on the NES that basically is like this, but a little more vibrant and I think has the sauce a little bit better. Again, I don't think that there was anything mechanically wrong here. That's probably my asterisk, is like, it's not broken. I don't think that if you are a Wheel of Fortune fan, or even just a word game fan, that you're going to have like the worst time of your life playing this.
Yeah.
There is a lot of friction that's unnecessary. You know, it's not like difficulty of the game or broken mechanics or anything. It's just like weird, bad design choices, aesthetic choices specifically, that just bring the whole kind of end product down.
Mm-hmm.
But even though I don't recommend it, I would say probably play like any other version of this that you could find that wraps the Wheel of Fortune package up a little bit tighter. So not worth the batteries for me, but like, I wouldn't be like, oh man, Wheel of Fortune on the Game Boy. Like, no, I could understand someone liking this game. I didn't necessarily, but I didn't have the worst time. I've definitely played worse, even just recently, than this one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. With that, I think it's quiz time.
Yep. See, wholly reversed. I took the mechanics section at the beginning. You took the quiz at the end. Wow.
I don't know. What are we doing with this episode? I am currently sitting at 82.9, just below 83%. Hopefully, I can, I guess, do just as well on this quiz as I did on some of the puzzles in the game, but we will see.
All right. Wheel of Fortune quiz. Question 1. Wheel of Fortune, the video game series, has gone on just about as long as the actual show has existed. Even as recently as 2017, most modern consoles got their own version of a Wheel of Fortune video game to play. But this game was released in 1990, by which point companies had already been iterating on the property for years, including this title on the Game Boy. How many Wheel of Fortune games were released by the end of 1990? A, 3, B, 9, C, 13, or D, 1 for every letter of the alphabet?
And this is on all systems, computer, etc.?
Yep, this is across anything that they could have a Wheel of Fortune on. So I don't think it would count like little bitty handhelds, but I mean like computer, PC, console, handheld, whatever.
And sorry, what was the time frame? By the end of 1990?
Yeah, so like this game was released in 1990, so including this game and up until the end of this same year, how many of them were there? 3, 9, 13, or 26?
I'm asking way too many questions on this. If the same game was released for multiple systems, are you counting that as 1 or 2?
there are definitely more of them than less of them. I used Moby Games. Moby Games list is where I got my data from. I used Moby Games. I went on there. I looked up Wheel of Fortune games, and I looked for everything from 1990 and back. And so there were X number of games from that time. I was very lucky that Moby Games had that there.
I'm going to lock in 9 because I think it's definitely more than 3. I feel like a lot of them came out after this one for a lot of platforms that I was kind of like surprised about, like PS2 and stuff like that. So all of that, I'm going to say 9. I don't have a great reason for that, but I'm going to say 9.
No, it was 13.
Oh, dang it.
I said lucky. I was like, I wonder if Jeff is going to catch that. But yeah, it was 13. There are so many, and they came out on so many things. It was like anything they could stick Wheel of Fortune on, they did. So Moby Games' list of Wheel of Fortune titles released from 1990 and prior says 13.
Wow.
13 games across all different platforms, early computers, Nintendo, the Game Boy one, multiple editions like Junior and Golden.
I remember seeing our maybe second favorite console, the Atari 2600, on there.
Yeah, it's everywhere. They made so many of them, and there's only one that comes out like in the same year but after this one, and it would be Wheel of Fortune Family Edition on the NES, which is actually a Rare game, like Rare the developer.
I do remember seeing, yeah, Rare. Anyway, not off to the best start for this quiz.
No.
We'll see how the rest of the questions go for me.
Okay. Question 2. Speaking of similar editions, there were a lot of variations of this game released on the NES or on the PC, but the Game Boy only ever got this one. Seeing what was here, we can definitely say there's room for improvement, and an updated or upgraded version down the line might have actually made a better showing. Maybe a company could have taken the bones of what was here and even just given it a coat of paint and color. Is it true or false that a company was planning just that, and a Game Boy Color version of Wheel of Fortune was planned but ultimately canceled?
Yeah. Yeah, the Game Boy Color didn't get one. I think the DS did. So yeah, the Color was supposed to get one, but I think it was canceled.
Yeah, it's true.
Let's go.
According to IGN, well, at least according to IGN via their game page captured by the Wayback Machine, Majesco is listed as having a Wheel of Fortune game planned for the Game Boy Color, but I couldn't find any further details other than it was canceled. I tried to verify this elsewhere, but I couldn't find any other mentions of a canceled Wheel of Fortune Game Boy Color game basically anywhere. So take the info with a grain of salt, at least. But from what I read, yeah, there was supposed to be a Game Boy Color version that just never happened.
All right. 1 for 1. So, or 1 for 2. 1 and 1. We're doing all right. Historically, question 3 treats me the best. So I guess knock on wood.
We'll have to see. This one we might have to talk about, actually. Anyway, question 3. Enough about video games for a moment. Let's talk board games, which Wheel of Fortune definitely takes its essential premise from, I would say. There have been plenty of board game versions of Wheel of Fortune over the years, though probably not nearly as many video game versions. However, similar to how board games have been around longer than video games, the first board game adaptation of Wheel of Fortune predates the first video game adaptation by a few years. When was that first board game released, though? A. 1975. B. 1979. C. 1985. Or D. Actually, the first of both were released together as this kind of early nightmare combination game.
So the show started in 75. I think 85 was when the first video game came out. I'm going to say 79. I'm going to say it probably wasn't the year that the show came out. And I think like I said, I think I remember around the early 80s is when the first video game came out.
Yes, very early.
So that leaves 79. That's just what I'm going with. I'm going to go with 79.
It's not. It was A.
Oh, wow.
It was 1975.
That's impressive.
Yeah, the first video game version of Wheel of Fortune was in 1979 for the early PC. I believe the IBM PC got the very first digital version in 79, but the first board game version was released by Milton Bradley in 1975. It included things like prize cards to simulate how winners would get the retail prizes on the show, and it was actually put out in 2 versions that had different puzzle solutions in each one.
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing to me that they, same year as show came out, already were pumping out board games, but...
Right. Yeah, it must have been just like a jumping on the early success of the show, maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't really look too far into it, but yeah, it was super early.
Well, that quiz was not a success for me.
No.
Still did not go, 0 for 3, so at least we have that. But that's my worst performance in quite some time. But we're still 81.7, so...
Oh, okay. I was worried that it was going to drop you a lot more than that.
No, we've gotten to the point where we have, I think, so many inputs that variation is going to be a little bit lower, but yeah, not where we want to be. But that is okay. Can you remind us, though, of our last week's listener quiz question?
That would be for Skate or Die, Bad and Rad. That audience question was about how I had found inside the Game Player's Strategy Guide to Game Boy Games, Volume 1, Number 1 of Summer 1990, that Skate or Die, Bad and Rad had this full-page section between a couple other games that was listed in a strategy guide, but was also called a review, and I wanted to know, because this was not really a good rendition of either of those things, how far the screenshots in this review or guide or whatever actually showed into Skate or Die, Bad and Rad. Jeff, maybe you might have looked up this publication for yourself.
I didn't, but I'm going to say level 1. They didn't get past level 1.
Very close. It was actually level 2.
Which, reminder, you could select up to level 4 for free, so...
Right. So there's like 3 screenshots in this section for Skate or Die, Bad and Rad, and they don't show anything beyond stage 2. So not only is that as far as they go, but they don't even show off like the boss fight stuff or, any of that part of the game. They're just highlighting like the rolling tire and the spikes you have to duck under and those barrels in the vertical section.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really just comes off as like extended marketing copy because it doesn't even tell you what the writer thought about the game.
Bizarre.
It's mostly just talking about like stuff that you can do in it, but they don't talk about whether that's good or bad or anything like that. So it's just kind of like this 1-page like hype for Skate or Die. And so for anyone who thinks that game reviews have only just recently have been shallow and unhelpful, like, no, it's just kind of always been that way. You really have to make sure that the people are giving you something worth reading, I guess.
Fair enough. And can you give us this week's listener question for Wheel of Fortune?
I can. Wheel of Fortune's listener question is about how I can't say that I remember Wheel of Fortune being known for really big prize pools or winners with like record take-home amounts, but I guess that's changed in recent years. Very recent, actually. In 2025, Wheel of Fortune had its biggest winner ever when Christina Derevinek, which I hope I pronounced that correctly, won the game with total winnings of $1,035,155.
Whew.
But this actually only beats out the next largest total winnings by about $5,000. In fact, There's been multiple winners over $1 million in prize money on Wheel of Fortune, but I want to know exactly how many. Jeff?
Yeah, complete guess if I gave out a number. So, as always, I won't. And if you have any idea, let us know.
Yep, you'll just have to wait till next time.
Thanks for listening to Critical DMG. If you would like to support us further, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/criticaldmgpod. Join us there for monthly newsletters and extra content. Otherwise, please leave a review wherever you get your podcasts, and maybe recommend us to your friends or anyone else you might think that would like the show. It really helps us out, and we appreciate it. I think that brings us to the end of our first game show, and we'll be seeing more. Not Wheel of Fortune, but other game shows. So maybe, I guess we have that to look forward to.
I feel like this one might have been one of the best of what we can hope for as far as game shows go, and so I'm worried.
We'll see. Thank you as always for joining us, and join us next week when we talk about Godzilla.
I'm such a big Godzilla fan. I have no faith in this game whatsoever, though.
Yeah, we'll see. I could see it being quite clunky, but I am pretty neutral on Godzilla, so you'll get two different takes as far as that is concerned, and yeah, we'll see how the game plays out.
Yeah, I'm sure that I will have some thoughts, but you'll have to wait and find out about those. Until next time, everybody, bye!
Bye-bye.